At Unikron, we have a bunch of things that we want to cover. Firstly, we want to be an umbrella on top of the existing DEX aggregators. So we have all these different DEX aggregators on Cardano blockchain, but some are offering, for instance, some of the DEXs are part of one aggregator, but not a part of the other aggregator. So for the end user, it is quite difficult to navigate across all these different DEX aggregators to get the best trade. So at Unikron, we want to serve somewhat like a search engine per se. We will give the user the best trade across all these different DEX aggregators and also integrating individual DEXs themselves. And besides the DEX aggregation functionality, we also want to feature yield aggregation. So we have different lending borrowing protocols, different liquidity pools, all of which are giving some yield on top of your capital. And this is something we also want to aggregate on our roadmap.
What's up, Ada Nation? Welcome to Dapp Central, your home for everything blockchain and crypto. My name's Fareed. As a part of today's video, we're diving into Unikron, a brand new multi-chain MetaDEX and a yield aggregator. We'll be joined by all of the core team members of this brand new protocol. Without any further ado, let's bring them up and hear a little bit about what they have to offer. So first, we've got Surab. We've also got Dr. Lars Brunez. We've also got Sathi, as well as Bart. Welcome up, gentlemen. How are you guys all doing on this wonderful morning?
Doing great. Glad to be here.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Doing good. Pleasure is mine. The pleasure is mine. Thank you all for joining me here. I'm excited for this particular talk, diving into Unikron and what you guys are building here with this brand new platform. But before we dive any further into into the protocol, let's talk a little bit more about who you guys are. Let's at least hear a little bit more about who you guys are. So I'd love to just do a quick sort of round robin here, and maybe we start off with Surab, and then I'll come over to Dr. Lars, and then we've got Bart, and then Sathi will come to you last.
Right. So my name is Saurabh Agarwal, and I serve as a technical advisor at Unikron.
Perfect. Dr. Lars, over to you.
Yeah. So my name is Lars Brunjes. I'm German, and I'm involved in IoG as Director of Education and as CTO in Genius Yield, which is a DEX, and now also in Unikron. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you very much.
Of course, the pleasure's mine. We've obviously met and chatted for quite a bit here. Over to you, Bart. Welcome back. How are you?
Doing fine, thank you. Yes, my name is Bart Antoniak, and at Unikron, I am a marketing and growth advisor. Long story short, over 15 years of experience in marketing and over 5 years of experience in crypto.
Perfect. And Sathi, over to you.
Thank you for it. So I'm Sathi. I'm one of the co-founders of Unikron. I have a Swiss legal background and been in fintech since 2015.
Perfect. Thank you all, gentlemen. Now, there's a lot of people here, but do one of you mind giving us or the viewers here a brief overview of what Unikron is, what the core services are, and who the core audience is for a platform just like this?
Maybe I can just quickly mention about what Unikron is at the very high level. So at Unikron, we have a bunch of things that we want to cover. Firstly, we want to be an umbrella on top of the existing DEX aggregators. So we have all these different DEX aggregators on Cardano blockchain, but some are offering, for instance, some of the DEXs are part of one aggregator, but not a part of the other aggregator. So for the end user, it is quite difficult to navigate across all these different DEX aggregators to get the best trade. So at Unikron, we want to serve somewhat like a search engine per se. So the top level idea is that the person visits the Unikron site, and we will on our backend query both all these different DEX aggregators like DEX Hunters, SteelSwap, Ada Markets, now rebranded as Fetch, right? And we will give the user the best trade across all these different DEX aggregators and also integrating individual DEXs themselves. So that is one part of a service. And besides the DEX aggregation functionality, we also want to feature yield aggregation. So we have different lending borrowing protocols, different liquidity pools, all of which are giving some yield on top of your capital. And this is something we also want to aggregate on our roadmap. And besides these two, we also want to aim multi-chain, like integrating with Bitcoin and Ethereum and other chains down the line. Right.
That was very nicely stated. Did anybody else want to add anything else?
Sure, I can jump in on ideal user of our platform. So basically, we're aiming at simply crypto traders, right? So you, me, everyone who listens to this recording, to this interview with Dapp. So we want to make traders' life easier. we want to make their trades more efficient, and we just want to unlock the best options, the best swapping options, the best yield options across DeFi. And I know it's been repeated multiple times in the space. However, we truly believe that we offer a really unique service as a meta aggregator, right? So we sit on top of our other aggregators and other DeFi platforms. So thanks to that, we are able to offer all traders amazing efficiency of their trades.
So jumping over into taking a look at the roadmap here, it looks like for the year of 2024, there's a couple of really big milestones. So we've got the mention of a product design, the team building, and then for the second half of the year, we've got the actual Cardano portion of the DEX aggregation, community building, and then marketing campaigns. And then as 2025 rolls in, there's the launch of an ambassador program, trustless bridging between Cardano, EVM, and Bitcoin. And then looking forward into 2026, there's the mentions of derivatives aggregation, the expansion into other major chains, and then new additional features. Now, that said, what's currently available and where is the state of development as it stands for Unikron?
So we are in a very early stage, so nothing is publicly available just yet. But we started with what you showed on the roadmap, so the Cardano side of things. So we started with integrating DEX Hunter and Genius Yield as a single DEX, and as soon as possible we want to add MinSwap, SundaeSwap, and other big aggregators like Fetch and SteelSwap. But at the moment, proof of concept, but so far it's working well.
Now, it seems like the DEX aggregator is one piece. There's also the yield aggregator. I'd love to maybe hear from any of you guys about sort of what the plans are from that perspective, right? Because we've talked about integrating SundaeSwap, Genius Yield. I think a lot of people are familiar with the DEXs, but there aren't a lot of people that are familiar with yield aggregation and exactly how that actually occurs, right? So I'd love to maybe hear about, from that perspective, what platforms you guys are planning to aggregate together, whether that's Liquid, Indigo, what sort of DeFi platforms are you guys sort of looking at for the yield aggregation portion of Unikron?
Right. So when we talk of yield aggregation, many things come inside it. But to start, our focus has been towards the lending borrowing protocols. So we will start with Liquid and similar protocols, and we aim to integrate a bunch of others like LinFi and so on. We also want to look into the liquidity pools aspect, not just the lending borrowing protocols, but also AMM type of DEXs where you can maybe provide your liquidity as inside the AMM pool, and maybe the project wants to offer you their tokens as an incentive to provide liquidity. And so these are the opportunities we want to cater. And also the leverage comes into the play when we are talking lending borrowing protocols. I don't see much of leverage functionality inside Cardano Dapp, so this is something also we want to offer.
Got it. Anybody else want to add anything else?
Well, first of all, Unikron should be a all-in-one DeFi platform. So we will start with the MetaDex aggregation later on, as you said, adding the yield aggregation, and going forward, especially after 2026, we will add other features. We have those in mind, but we don't want to mention right now because we're now focusing on building the first parts. But I think for the end user, it will be a convenient way to grow their assets via the Unikron platform.
Got it. And thank you. As a quick follow-up, I want to ask about why these particular chains. Obviously, Cardano, you guys have very strong ties here. You guys are all builders here in this particular ecosystem. But why EVM? Why Bitcoin? Why Arbitrum? Why Optimism? Why Polygon? What chains are you guys looking at? And what is attracting you guys to deploy or integrate them into what Unikron has to offer?
Well, first of all, I think those icons are of symbolic nature. As we said, we will start on Cardano, but then extend it to EVM chains. That means Ethereum, Arbitrum, Optimism, but also EVM or Ethereum compatible chains like BSC, for example. So in the end, we want to broaden the use case of our platform. It's not just limited to Cardano. Of course, we started with Cardano. We are a big fan, but in the end, we want to reach a broader audience. That's why we will build a broader Dapp for serving those traders.
Noted. I think this is going to be a question that a lot of people have, which is around timelines, right? So typically we expect, obviously, for you guys to sort of be building in the background. Then there's the launch of a testnet and then a mainnet. Any information that we can get in terms of when we can expect for Unikron to be publicly available?
In principle, I think we can have like a first proof of concept in like beginning of December already. So that's the plan, at least.
Got it. Got it. One thing that I also think is super important to sort of highlight is security, right? So from a platform perspective, are there security measures in place? If so, what are they? And then even just thinking about audits and things of that nature, obviously, again, I think it's still early to sort of dive into that, but I would love to hear, if there's any sort of things that you guys are watching out for. And the reason why I ask is because anytime that you're going cross-chain, there's typically usually, bridging involved or something where, assets are locked up, assets are minted. I'd love to hear about how you guys are building and reassuring the community that everything that's being done through Unikron is safe and secure.
I think there are like several aspects to that. I mean, first of all, because we are a meta aggregator, we basically can just use the security provided by whatever we aggregate. So we don't need our own security because we basically just pass through to existing aggregators or individual DEXs. Secondly, we try to keep it as lean as possible and as decentralized as possible. So at the moment, for our proof of concept, we don't even need a server. So basically everything runs in the browser, which means there's basically nothing that can be hacked. I mean, there's no database that can be hacked or anything because we just don't need one. Also, another like source of potential security risk is smart contracts, but we don't really need any at this stage. Again, because we are just using existing smart contracts from existing DEXs or aggregators. And when you ask about the multi-chain stuff, I mean, we are living in very exciting times that now these truly decentralized bridges are coming around. So, I mean, for example, the Bitcoin Cardano bridge that's announced to be operative in like January, which is like fundamentally different to existing bridges. I mean, there have always been these news that bridges got hacked, and the reason was that they were not truly decentralized. I mean, they normally relied on a handful or a couple of so-called validators that could in principle be hacked and have been hacked in the past. So there was always like a security risk. But these truly decentralized bridges rely on mathematics and cryptography instead. So they're like much more secure. So, and obviously we want to utilize those when we get to that point of the roadmap.
Okay, if nothing else, then I would maybe just want to ask about additional partners and integrations. Obviously, again, things are super early on, but in an ideal world, what types of platforms would you guys like to see included outside of Cardano? So I know that there's, for example, on ETH, there's Uniswap, but like who are you guys sort of targeting outside of the current Cardano ecosystem, if anybody right now?
Well, in terms of community building and marketing activities, now we focus on Cardano solely, and we want to grow our project organically and our community organically. That's why, like, we're having this conversation with you, Dapp, and we're having a lot of more such conversations in upcoming weeks and months. So yeah, we want to focus on Cardano community and Cardano space, and then after we're ready, we will engage with Ethereum and Bitcoin community and broad crypto community. So yeah, we basically will follow the marketing activities, will follow the tech development roadmap.
Got it. Thank you. Any additional follow-ups here from any of the other members?
Yes, I think what Bart said is correct. Our priority is Cardano, and going forward, I would like to bring up the roadmap again. Here, of course, we want to tackle the most important tools out there on other chains. But again, this is in the future. For the time being, we're focusing on Cardano.
Got it. Got it. I think this is a question that I could probably just post to everybody here. I'd love to get all of your guys' thoughts, but what has been maybe, either a hurdle or something that you guys have sort of taken away from what you guys have built so far, right? So it could either be a hurdle or something that sort of has been a revelation in building out Unikron, or just starting something from the very bottom, you know? So maybe Satya, we could start with you. I'd love to hear about sort of your experience so far, and then Surab will come to you, Bart, and then Dr. Lars as well.
I think what made us build Unikron is the growing Cardano community, the growing use case. Now it's time for the first MetaDex aggregator on Cardano. That one is missing. This is a huge opportunity for the team and for the entire ecosystem as well.
Perfect. Surab, anything that you've
Right.
learned along the process?
Right. I mean, as a first mover, since we are the first mover in this space of building the MetaDex aggregator, that in itself brings lots of challenges. For instance, we have to integrate DEX Hunter, we want to integrate Fetch, we want to integrate State Swap. DEX Hunter has the API, but the rest of the two are still working out their API. So we have to work with them, try to get them their APIs up to the state that it is usable by us. So as a first mover, there are these type of hurdles. And as a concept, I mean, as a revelation, I think, as what Sodi mentioned, sitting on top of DEX aggregators gives better opportunities to the end users, because each of the different DEX aggregator has something to offer on top of the other. So it's a mix and match of everything, and we want to serve as a search engine to get the best across all the available aggregators.
Perfect. I think it's Bart next.
Sure. I don't know if there are any hurdles actually that I could mention, but what I can say is I am particularly excited that we're starting on Cardano, not only because we have this deep experience with Cardano projects, but also because of the Cardano community that's really well educated, very engaged. I think this is a unique value of the whole Cardano ecosystem, the community. Even looking at engagement in all the funds that are Fund 12 or 13th. That being launched, and the engagement. So I'm really excited that we are starting on Cardano, and will be, as I mentioned, and as Soti mentioned, the marketing roadmap will follow the tech development roadmap, right? So the more integration comes, the more partnerships we sign, the more activities you can expect, right? So we'll be launching co-marketing activities with our partners. We'll be launching ambassador program later on once we start generating fees. So a lot of great stuff is ahead of us.
Yeah, I definitely echo that sentiment about the Cardano community. By far, one of the strongest and supportive here. I thank them here in my journey as a content creator. Dr. Lars, I want to come over to you, and then I've got a couple more questions, because after hearing what Bart just mentioned, I actually want to talk about fees, pricing, but then also want to discuss any potential tokens for a platform like Unikron. So I just want to sort of put that out there in the air. But first, let's go to Dr. Lars and sort of hear about potential challenges, things that you've learned so far in building Unikron.
Right. So I think it's very similar to what Saurabh already mentioned, and I think it's also to be expected when you want to integrate things. I mean, one should think it's easy because all these DEXs and DEX aggregators deal with the same thing, right? A swap in its basic case, but somehow they obviously all represent it differently. So it's but as I said, I think that's a problem whenever you want to integrate different systems. So even if they are in the same domain and do the same thing, every company uses their own formats and their own tools and infrastructure. So it's always difficult to somehow get everything together and make it compatible so that you can actually compare the different offers you get from the various platforms. But also, as Bart and Saurabh said, and Soti, I think, it's not as bad as it could be, because the people we have approached are always very helpful. So the community is helpful, the projects are helpful. So it's you don't really get stuck with things like that. But it does show that maybe some standards would be nice if at some point there was like a standard for orders in Cardano DeFi projects or something that would make things certainly simpler if there were like standardized APIs, for example.
Yeah, no, I tend to definitely agree. Uniformity, I think, brings a little bit of stability, right, for everybody involved. One thing that sort of came to mind as Bart was speaking was the roadmap, but just thinking bigger, right, is a white paper. So is there a white paper coming? And as a part of information like that, is there mention of a token that the Unikron team, aims to launch? If so, any details that we can get about that? And again, I want to preface this with the fact that I know that it's extremely early. So if you guys don't have any of those details fully ironed out, I completely understand. But I think that it at least be a good idea or a good opportunity to talk about, how does a platform like Unikron generate fees, right? Are you guys potentially charging for, an amount when people are coming to make swaps? Or are there other core services or offerings that you guys plan to provide in order to generate revenue?
Thank you for your questions, for it. Maybe I take the first part with regards to light paper or white paper. When I came up with the idea to build Unikron and spoke with Lars, we had basically another idea of building a different Dapp. But then we saw the opportunity of building a MetaDex aggregator. And I did actually create a first version of the light paper, but we kept adding features, more and more features. And then the first version became obsolete. But make a long story short, there will be a light paper next year that will include everything what we want to build. But this is what I like to say or emphasize. At the moment, we're focusing on the building procedure. We want to deliver the product first, and after that, we might think of introducing own token. But at the moment, it's not our priority.
I wish that more projects would take that similar approach, delivering building first before trying to, throw out a token and raise funds through that route. Typically, it happens the other way around. They ask for funds and launch a token first and then say, hey, we're going to build something later. So I definitely can get behind that. And again, understand that this is very, very early stage. But these are the things that I think the community will definitely want to know about. So it sounds like it's at least on your guys' radar. But as we get ready to wind things down here, I just want to say first off, thank you all for your time here, getting everybody together. What comes next and what is sort of the core focus? Now, Satya, you just mentioned development, but where within development is sort of the team's focus for the next month, 2 months, 3 months, as you guys get ready to slowly roll things out? And again, I'd love to maybe sort of go from person to person here, because I know you guys are all sort of contributing to a different aspect of the protocol. And so I'd love to hear, from Bart, what comes next for marketing, Dr. Lars from a technical perspective, and same thing for you as well, Surab. But Satya, if you want to maybe kick us off first, as sort of the visionary here, what is your focus for the next few months?
The next few months is to deliver an outstanding product. That means we want to launch as soon as possible, hopefully next month. So that's why we're focusing all our resources on the launch, and keep adding other features, and then basically grow the community, and basically works with partners to help the entire ecosystem grow bigger and bigger.
Perfect. And I think the timing couldn't be better, right? I know we just discussing the price of ADA, currently trading at 95 cents. A lot of people finally coming back and checking their wallets, checking, all the stuff that they forgot to check for the last 2 years. And with the platform like Unikron launching, I think there's going to be a lot of demand, right, for trading and things of that nature. So I think the timing is absolutely perfect from your guys' end. Bart, from a marketing perspective, trying to build the community, you're obviously someone who's been here for a very long time. What's sort of the strategy, right, to do that in the next couple of months?
Well, this is something that I already mentioned. So we want to grow organically. We don't want to overpromise, right? So we are aiming. We don't. We're here for the quality and engagement rather than quantity. We want to pump our numbers of followers artificially, right? So I know this is unfortunately a standard in some cases. So we're going to grow steadily, we're going to grow organically, and we will follow the product wise. So we're going to spread the word, tell our story. We know that there are a lot of it's like half competitors, right? Because there is no meta aggregator currently. So, but there are a lot of potential partnerships that we can launch. So we're gonna definitely build on partnerships, and basically that's it.
Nice. And I'm definitely looking forward to it. I'm sure you guys have all heard about the Bitcoin OS collaboration and the fact that that's going to be kicking off in December, or not December, early January or Q1 of 2025, which is not too far after what appears to be a potential launch for you guys. So I'd love to see exactly, what synergies or collaborations can come out of that, not just from a tech perspective, but also from a community perspective, right? With you, Bart, focusing on community building. Again, you know how strong the Cardano community is and how welcoming we are to new communities. And so I think welcoming in some of those Bitcoin maxis, people that have not had the ability to earn a yield or to, be able to use their Bitcoin for collateral, whatever the case is, will be very, very interesting. And I'm actually really excited for that portion as well. So Rob, I think we'll go over to you next, and then Dr. Lars will come to you from a technical perspective as to what we can expect for the next few months.
Right. You mentioned about Bitcoin OS, and we are eagerly looking forward to it. This concept to have a decentralized bridge between Bitcoin and Cardano is something which would be very useful for our own purposes and for Cardano ecosystem in general. And with the recent developments in the Cardano from this Chang hard fork and so on, it is very much possible for us to use these signatures coming from the Bitcoin wallet and make those same signatures work with our Bluetooth smart contracts. So for the end user, they just see their Bitcoin wallet with their Bitcoins, but under the hood, they can get the yield on those same Bitcoins by utilizing Bitcoin OS and these things. So this is indeed something we look forward to. And earlier you mentioned about revenue, like what is our business model. I can just maybe quickly mention about that. As a MetaDex aggregators, we would be, for instance, forwarding swaps against different DEX aggregators. So we might forward swap to DEX Hunter, to Steel Swap, to Fetch, and at that point, we would be like getting fees as a referral fees. So whatever swap we forward to a particular DEX aggregator, we will get back a referral fees from them. So this is like the business model we are exploring. Right. So yeah, this is our main focus, the MetaDex aggregator part as of now.
Thank you for that. I definitely appreciate that. And you also actually following up there in my previous question. As we get ready to wrap up here, Dr. Lars, the key focus for the next few months on your end.
Right. I just wanted to comment on what Saurabh said about the referral fees. So the beauty of that is that for the user, it's not more expensive to have us in the loop, right? So, I mean, you could think that each time you stack a layer on top, I mean, everybody has to live and then it gets more and more expensive for the user. But I mean, the point with these referral fees is that would come from the fees that the aggregators normally collect. So it wouldn't make it more expensive for the end user. And in practice, and I mean, everybody wins. I mean, the end user wins because he gets the best possible trade. We get our share, but also the aggregators, of course, win because they still get part of the fee, and we like funnel traffic to them. So I think it's just a win-win-win basically, and just makes everything more efficient. And regarding what to concentrate on, I mean, I would say just, I mean, what we said in the roadmap for the next month. So Cardano side, and in particular swap side. So as I said, we started with one aggregator and one individual DEX, and as soon as that works to our satisfaction, then concentrate on pulling more in once APIs become available. I mean, more DEXs and also more aggregators. So, I mean, it's sort of boring, but I think it's important to do that because it's our core business, basically.
I tend to agree. I was going to say, I think slow and steady is the way. Sometimes boring is better, right? You don't want something that's flashy, that fizzles out. But what I can and will say is, I think from my perspective, I would love to see the ability to trade and get access to Bitcoin. I want to say it's runes, which are sort of the fungible tokens, whereas the ordinals, I believe, are the NFTs, if I'm not mistaken. But as a Cardano user, I'm trying to dive more into Bitcoin, especially after the Bitcoin OS news. And so I'd love to see, you guys potentially tapping into that. And if there is a platform where I know I can jump on and trade, native assets on Cardano, and I can quickly connect a Bitcoin wallet and then swap for runes, that will definitely make my life a lot easier. Right now, as you guys already know, there isn't a platform that allows you to do that. And then you stack on top of that the ability to connect an EVM-based wallet and to swap for, those types of assets. now you're cooking, you know? So I think that there's a lot of value here and a lot of opportunities with what you guys are building, but that will do it here for today's video, breaking down the Unikron project, still in its very early stages. However, you guys are continuing to build, and you guys have some of the top talent here in the ecosystem. So I have high anticipations or high expectations for what you guys are building, and look forward to providing you guys here with more coverage as things begin to roll out. So that said, I want to thank you, Sathi. I want to thank you as well, Sarab. It was a pleasure meeting you in Dubai. Bart, it was a pleasure meeting in Consensus. And Dr. Lars, we've met on multiple occasions. So that said, again, just want to thank you all and wish you all the best of luck. For you, the viewer watching at home, if you've enjoyed any portion of today's interview, breaking down Unikron, a brand new builder here in the Cardano ecosystem, please make sure to smash that thumbs up. If it's your first time stopping by and you want more content like this, consider subscribing to the channel. And last but not least, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns as it pertains to anything that we've discussed here with Unikron, whether that's the roadmap, the utility, the team, their experience, please leave a comment down below. I'll make sure to get that information forwarded over to them. That said, and as always, we'll see you all in the next video. Cheers, everybody. Take care for now.